Hey, Dan. My
Hey,
meeting got canceled. So I made it.
great. So I think we can get started. So in today's meeting, we have an agenda, which is I'll give a demo about the Istio security. So it's most of the features are on our website, istio.io, and there's nothing fancy. I just did a little homework to put everything together, and the topics mostly covers the four parts. One is service-to-service MTLS. The other is end user authentication. Third is RBAC and also monitoring. These are the basic the features that we support as of today, which is a point 0.8 based on our point 0.8 release. And I'll use the example, which is actually based on our book info. It's on our website, but just make it. I just remove some extra pieces, make it simple. So this is the example. And here's as you can see, this is a two-tier example. We have a front end, we have a back end. So the product page is actually our front end, and the reviews or the details are our back end. So, and from here, in this example, without Istio, and you can see that the traffic's all in HTTP, and there's no access control, there's no monitoring. And once we have Istio, notice that right now we have Istio, but the MTLS is not enabled. We have Istio, and then we will have like a sidecar envoy installed right
Sorry,
next.
I think you are trying to share something, maybe. Or,
Yeah.
Oh,
There is
yeah,
no,
we are not seeing what you are sharing. That's why.
Okay. Let me. I see. Thanks for reminding. So, can you guys all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. Then let's get. Let's start again. Sorry for that. So yeah, as I mentioned, that this is today's agenda. So most of the stuff is in our website, istio.io, and as you can see that I'll use an example, which is a book info, and but I remove some part of it stuff. So I only keep the product and the reviews. Actually, details is kind of kept. But this is actually a simple example. You can treat it as we have a front end, we have a back end. So the customer can access it from the customer can access from external to internal. And in this one, there's no traffic encryption, no access control, and no monitoring. And once we have Istio, we have a sidecar in front of every pod. And besides that, we also have an ingress, which is envoy based as well. So these are at our data plane. And in our control plane, we have an envoy every envoy, single envoy get this routing or security information from the centralized control plane. And so now let's look at the demo. So once we have this deployed without MTLS, you can see external can access our front end from ingress, and also another internal pod. Notice this guy doesn't have envoy, so this guy can access backend or front end as well, because we don't enforce MTLS. All right. So let's start to see. In my deployment, all this stuff are already there. I deployed the product page and the reviews and the Istio control plane, but it's just the MTLS is not enabled. So we can see that the booking for page from external, you can access the booking. From internal, you can also access the backend. I mean, this is the internal pod without envoy. Let's take a look. So as you can see here, let's go to this website. This is the website. So you can see that the product page is accessible, and it shows the details and the reviews, which means from external, they can access the front end, and the front end can access the back end. So everything works good. And I'm going to show you that from here, from this command, this is actually an internal access, which means this is a pod. I go to a pod into this is a Lexi namespace. This pod doesn't have a sidecar in front of it, but still it can access the our backend. So you can see this is the response. And the thing is, once I enable mutual TLS, say for our backend and for our frontend, so if you don't have a sidecar, which means you don't have a key cert, then you will not be able to access our pod. So as you can, and another thing I want to mention that is from here, this is the Istio dashboard. This is actually based on Grafana. And you can specify the destination, say right now is a review, which is our backend. From here, you can see that this is the traffic that we just triggered. One is, this was from the website. The other is from the CLI. And as you can see here, it says all unsecured request. So once we name MPLS, you can see some green traffic, so which is secured request. So any questions so far? Okay, good. So now we're gonna enable mutual TLS. So as you can see that, so once I enable mutual TLS, from here to Envoy is still accessible. From here is by MTLS. So everything here is fine. External can still access our website, but this guy will have a problem. This guy will not be able to access. Let's see. So now I'm going to deploy the MTLS policy. So once this guy is enforced, let's see the internal pod. This guy doesn't have a sidecar. As you can see that they received a failure. It will not be able to access the detailed page, which is our backend, because it doesn't have a sidecar. And from here, you can see this should work as well, because the ingress just provide HTTPS, and from ingress to our front end, it's all MPLS. They all have, they both have key cert. So, and if you look at the stats, you can see we have some green traffic here. The green means secures request. All right. So another thing I want to show is this is a service-to-service MTLS. Another thing that we want to show that is end user authentication, which means from external access, we want to enforce that external should carry some token, like JAWS token. And if you don't have this JAWS token, we will not allow you to access. So let's say PDF JAWS. Once I enable this, let's take a look at the policy first. So once I enable this, as you can see here, this is for product page as a target, which means any traffic sent to product page, which is our front end, I'm going to require the peer to have a MTLS, and also the origin has a JOT. And the JOT issuer is, I just created a GCP service clone, and this is where to find the public key. And this is the JOT parameters. And since once this is enabled, you will see that the web page is not accessible. From here, you will see origin authentication failed because I don't present the JAWS token here, okay? And if I have another one set up, this will have a JAWS token, which is a pretty long one. I get it from I use some script, but this is all accessible from our istio.io webpage. So if you look at here, see, now it works. As long as you provide a valid JAWS, it will work. So let's see if I provide some wrong token, it will still not work, right? So this is the end user authentication. The next step I want to show you guys is the RBAC. RBAC is once we have an MTLS, which means identity is propagated to another site, we can do RBAC. So RBAC is right now by default is deny. So once we enable RBAC, so if you don't have any specify any access policies, you see that nobody can access anyone. So ingress cannot access the product page, and the product page cannot access the reviews. So let's take a look. And of course, after that, I will specify some access rules. So you can see the ingress can access the front end. And then I will specify another routing rules, access rules, so you can see that front end can access backend. Let's take a look. So we have Istio RBAC enable. So once we enable, let's take a look at this policy. So this is pretty much the RBAC. So how we enforce the RBAC. And as you can see that right now the policies apply to the destination namespace to default. Right now the front end and the back end, they're both deployed at the default. And as I mentioned that RBAC is denied by default, which means since this one is, since this RBAC is enabled, we see that this page, even we have the valid token, even we have a valid token, you can see that it's permission denied. The RBAC permission denied, you can see that, all right? So now we're gonna specify some access control. So external from ingress can access our front end. So this rule, let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. So this guy defined the service role, says the name is a product page viewer. It says this role will have access to have a get permission to the front end, which is our product page. And this role applies to any user, which means anybody will have a get permission for this product page. And that means after this access rule applied, you will see the front end page. Let's take a look. See, the page shows up, but you can see that error fetching product details, error fetching product reviews, which means our external can access the front end page, but the front end cannot access backend because we haven't specified the access rules for access policies for the backend yet. Now we're gonna deploy the backend access rule. I think it's details. Okay. Let's take a look. So from here, you can see the role is, well, the service role, it defines a permission, say, this role will have the get permission for the details and for the reviews. This is our two backend. One is on the left, the other is on the right. And who has the permission of this? It says the product page, the booking for product page. This is specified by the service account, and this whole thing follows the convention of a SPIFF SVID. It's just that we removed the prefix, and so the namespace is default. The service account is booking for product page, which is our front end, and this means the front end will have access to this backend and this backend, right? So since this one is deployed, if I click here, we'll see the whole page again. So that means we have the access. And in this demo, we just demoed MTLS for service-to-service authentication and end user authentication and the stats and also the RBAC. I think that's pretty much. And any questions so far? Good. Okay. We don't have questions. That's fine. All right. I think that's pretty much what we have today. And do you guys have any comments, or you guys want to have other topics to discuss? Okay. If not, I'll see you guys next time. We'll finish early. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.